Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek, and I hope you're all having a good morning, evening, or afternoon wherever you may be in the world. Before I get into today's video topic, I do want to make a note that by the time you're seeing this video, it will be the day that is going to be very, very busy as far as live streaming stuff is concerned, because my embargo for Chaos Gate Demon Hunters will be dropping today. So at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, I will be starting a Chaos Gate Demon Hunter stream on my Twitch channel at www.twitch.tv/LoremasterofSotek, or there will be a link down in the pinned comment below. And then at 11 a.m. CST, the Warhammer Fest live stream for Warhammer 40k with all the new releases and reveals is going to be going live on Twitch, and I will be streaming that stream and reacting to it live and talking about it and everything. So if you have an interest in checking that out, feel free to stop by and we'll see what all Games Workshop is up to, which I will be basically, that will kind of be the schedule every day going forward, because Warhammer Fest is going to be taking the rest of the week. So every day at 11 a.m. from Wednesday, which is tomorrow, well, by the time you're listening to this today, to Friday, I will be watching all of those streams, especially the Thursday one, which is going to be Age of Sigmar, which is, you know, of course, very relevant to me and to Warhammer Fantasy fans in general. But be sure to stop by and check it out. After that live stream ends, we will go back to playing Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, probably after like a lunch break or something. But just wanted to include that little intro, and then, yeah, let's get on to the actual video. Okay, so it is not news for those who have been paying attention to everything going on with Creative Assembly that they dropped a little bit of a hint about the upcoming DLC, the first Lord Pack for Total War Warhammer 3. We've been given a few details about it thanks to Rich Aldridge and the DLC team, which is notably that there are 4 champions in the Lord Pack, and they even went so far as to have Rich make a pun about championing at the bit. And here's the thing, guys. If there's one thing we have learned as a community about Creative Assembly over the years through Warhammer 1, 2, and now 3, it is if Creative Assembly makes a pun, that is something incredibly important and is basically revealing whatever they're talking about is going to be. This is how we found out about Drycha instantly during the Wood Elf DLC, was that they made a frickin' pun that immediately revealed who the FLC Lord was, which of course is Drycha. And I think they've done the exact same thing here, is that they have come out and made a pun and it instantly gives away the game, which is that they said champions very deliberately and had the championing at the bit. Now, you may think, oh, well, okay, you know, it's a Lord pack, and we know there's going to be 4 legendary lords, but they're called champions, which is a little weird, but maybe that's just how they're going to refer to legendary lords in the future. And the answer to that is no, that's actually not it, because most of the Warhammer races have various ways that they refer to their character types. Not all of them, but many of them. For instance, you know, greenskins refer to all of their characters as war bosses when you're talking about lords. And for Chaos, they're referred to as champions. So whether you're talking about a Demon Prince, a Chaos Lord, or a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, you are talking about champions of Chaos. That is what they are referred to as a term. It also kind of technically means Exalted Heroes and Chaos Sorcerers as well, but we're just going to be focusing on the Lords because that's obviously what they're referring to. So that means there are 4 new legendary lords coming to Total War Warhammer 3, and they are likely the Warriors of Chaos. This would make complete sense, as they have already revealed that the first race that's going to receive a major update from Warhammer 1 and 2 that will be included at the exact same time as a free LC, because this DLC is going to drop as part of update 2.0. And update 2.0 also comes with the Blood Pack DLC and also comes with Immortal Empires. And Immortal Empires, the first major update that's going to release at the exact same time is the racial update to the Warriors of Chaos. So they've openly said we're doing the Warriors of Chaos at the same time as this DLC, which is going to feature 4 Chaos champions, and there are 4 Chaos Gods who are a major facet of Total War Warhammer 3. I wonder what these 4 characters are and how they're divided up. How much you want to bet that it's 4 characters, because there are 4 Chaos Gods, and so each of these guys is going to show up in one of these for one of the gods. There you go. Problem solved. So we are going to be seeing 4 Warrior of Chaos characters, I believe, who are going to be bringing the Warriors of Chaos into Total War Warhammer 3, as well as, vastly expanding their roster in Total War Warhammer 3's Immortal Empires. So, with that in mind, let's talk about who maybe this will be. Let's kind of start doing our predictions. Let's talk about what are the Warriors of Chaos missing, who are these characters that might show up, and what are we looking at here? So I think the easiest thing to do is to start with what are the creatures and units and stuff like that we are currently missing from the Warriors of Chaos roster, because there's not that much, though the things that are missing, some of them might be a little difficult to implement because they are quite unique and large, and that's always tends to be more of a pain for Creative Assembly than things that they can kind of recycle the animations for. So, not including the new critters that we got in Total War Warhammer 3, like the Skull Crushers, the Doom Knights, the Hellstriders. Those are all things that were technically part of the Warriors of Chaos. So we're not going to worry about them because they're already in the game. So they will be showing up in, I think, appropriate rosters as they need to. So who are the actually interesting things that we don't have in the game currently? Well, we're not really missing that much. The only thing we're missing is a couple of monsters. We are missing the Slaughter Brute, so a lot of people, I actually want to take just a brief moment on this creature. A lot of people see the Slaughter Brute and they go, oh, it has Slaughter and Brute in the name, and it's very, very red, and it's big and spiky. That must be a Cornate monster. And that is not correct. that is no, sir. That is not correct, sir. The Slaughter Brute is actually not associated with any of the Dark Gods. It is very, very specifically an undivided monster of chaos. It represents Chaos Undivided. I know a lot of people look at that and go, oh, but it's so cornate. I realize that, but chaos in general is very spiky and in your face and trying to kill you. Slaughter and brutality is not unique to Khorne. He's like, granted, he takes it, of course, to another level, you could argue, but it's not really his unique domain. That is something that all of Chaos tends to share in common. And the Slaughter Brute, when you actually look at its design, it is very intentionally an undivided creature. It's not like they forgot to give it rules. The thing about the Slaughter Brute is on its back is the 8-pointed Star of Chaos, which is the symbol of Chaos Undivided. It represents kind of that meeting ground. It represents all of the powers united. And it's this creature that's really meant to be a super elite monster. It's a hyper elite creature that when it shows up on a battlefield, it is supposed to be bound to a character that is in the army. So there's supposed to be some kind of friendly hero nearby, a Chaos Champion, who has a binding ritual performed on them so that the Slaughter Brute and them kind of have this deep relationship. The Chaos Champion is its master, and through it, he's functionally kind of able to control it. He's able to manipulate it, controlling the creature as if he was the creature, which makes the Slaughter Brute much more skilled and dexterous at fighting than any wild beast would be, because it's actually being controlled by a very, very skilled champion of chaos who knows what they're doing and is able to influence the beast with its own will, which I have no idea how you would represent that in Total War Warhammer setting, but the Slaughter Brute is definitely a creature we could see, but it's an undivided creature. It's not God-specific. Another creature that we are missing is the Mutate Vortex Beast. And the Mutate Vortex Beast is a complicated creature. It is super bizarre looking and has a lot of really crazy rules because it has this giant portal on its back that gives it this ability called the Aura of Mutation. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. That portal is literally a gateway to the realm of chaos itself. So the Mutate Vortex Beast is this horrifying mutated abomination that crawls across the battlefield and is just drenching everything around it with chaos mutation, so that the people who are being affected by it are functionally being forced to suffer the effects of just tons and tons of chaos in the area. So it gets close to enemies and they start mutating, and their brains get bigger, they start growing extra mouths and go crazy and all this other stuff. It's not a good time. It's really not a good time. Unfortunately, in tabletop, it was kind of a terrible creature, because whenever it would mutate an enemy, it had a very random chance what kind of mutation you would get, and they took the mutation aspect very, very seriously. So depending on what would happen, you could actually get a really nice buff from your opponent's Mutate Vortex Beast, or in the worst case scenario, it could actually cause a bunch of people to die and would make like turn some of the people that died into a chaos spawn that would then start attacking the unit. So it's kind of similar to Morgar in a sense, though it's not as good at it as Morgar was. But I would love to see this creature. It's really, really big. It is got a lot of crazy tentacles. It's armored. So is the Mutalith, or so is the Slaughter Brute. Both of them cause terror. They're large. They're heavily armored for beasties. But what's unique about the Mutalith, of course, is he's got that portal which unleashes waves of corruption on nearby enemies. And he also regenerates. So it could be a big regenerating monster that maybe has like a Mortis Engine effect. That could be really cool. And would be super duper 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 strong for the forces of chaos. Just saying. But beyond that, the Slaughter Brute would be much more, I think, of an elite creature, like a creature that's designed to just get in there and just rip people to pieces. So kind of think of like a Necrosphinx or a Carnosaur. So maybe a creature that, they could perhaps give it like an anti-large bonus and focus on it really just ripping people to shreds. But probably the biggest monster that I want to see the most, because I think it would be such a dramatic inclusion for the Warriors of Chaos, is the Chimera. And the thing about the Chimera is we've spoken about it not that long ago, because if you remember, in the Art of Total War Warhammer book that I believe you can purchase now and get, but Creative Assembly was nice enough to send me a copy of it. And in that book, in the Warriors of Chaos section, they actually have concept art of the Chimera. Granted, it's only of one of the heads, so it seems like either they kind of just started working on the Chimera and never got that far into it, or I don't know exactly what happened there. But I would kill to get the Chimera, because it is kind of the representative creature of chaos. Like, it just looks like a monstrosity that was born of chaos, because it's this fusion of a bunch of different creatures, and you could actually have a good decent number of them in a Warriors of Chaos army on tabletop. And it was just it's such an iconic monster. The Chimera is such a recognizable beast from our world's history. And I always love when we're able to get those classic monsters. As much as I love the Slaughter Brute and the Mutate Vortex Beast, those are Warhammer unique creations. They are not something that is easily identifiable to someone that's never played Warhammer in their life. But if you showed someone a Chimera, they'd be like, oh shit, that's a Chimera. So the Chimera, big flying draconic-like monster. It has good armor. It's got a tail that it has this creepy mouth on it that bites and eats people. It could fly, which is great. And it could be poisonous. It could regenerate. They could breathe fire. So, getting any or all of those abilities would be so very, very nice. Maybe they could do that for like a Regiment of Renown. So maybe you have a regular Chimera and you give them the ability to regenerate to make them really powerful. And you could have like a Regiment of Renown version breathes fire, or maybe they all have poison and breathe fire, but only the Regiment of Renown version regenerates, something like that, because those were optional. You could upgrade chimeras to regenerate, breathe fire, or be poisonous. Standard basic chimeras were just armored, flying, spooky monsters that could hit really hard. But that is 3 monsters we're looking at that are not in the roster. And the Lord Pack, it's kind of almost sounds like it's going to be more focused on characters and less focused on other stuff, because we've never gotten a Lord Pack that has 4 legendary lords in it before. We've functionally had like 3 legendary lords for Lord Packs, because there'd usually be 2 characters and then a free LC character. But maybe for this case, maybe there is no free LC with this because there are so many things in it. I honestly would not mind if there was no free LC, if they're just like, okay, you get the big Warriors of Chaos update. We're going to update Archaon, Kolek, and Sigvald. And then in the Lord Pack, we're going to go extra hard and we're going to have 4 characters. And then we're going to have some monsters and some missing units. Which, to continue on that thread, honest to goodness, the only unit we are missing, because they've even gone so far as to give us a lot of unit champions as separate units, where they made Marauder Horsemasters into a new unit. They made the Chaos Marauder champions into a unit. They made the Aspiring champions into a unit. They've really been going pretty ham on the upgrading a unit to making the unit champion into a brand new unit type. So I really don't think there's that much left to do. The only other things we're missing Chaos Ogres, which I would love to see Chaos Ogres. Chaos Ogres would be so incredibly exciting to see. And then the last thing is the Chaos War Shrine, which the Chaos War Shrine, Norska has a Chaos War Shrine, but theirs is very different. Theirs is a Chaos War Mammoth that has a War Shrine upgrade, which is very distinctly different from a Chaos War Shrine, because the Chaos War Shrine is more like this really bizarre single entity creature it's like a buff wagon. So kind of like a much more scary and close combat. So like when you compare, typical zombie shenanigans for the vampire counts to the heavily armored elite fighters of the Warriors of Chaos, you can kind of think of the Chaos War Shrine as the Warriors of Chaos version of a corpse cart. So it is much, much scarier at fighting than your typical corpse cart, but it's also, significantly more elite and special. And it's all about buffing nearby Warriors of Chaos and giving them some really cool abilities and really allowing them to, receive the favor of their gods much more heavily and quickly than they would standardly. So that's pretty much all we're missing is the Chaos War Shrine and then the 3 big monsters. Other than that, we're basically just missing special characters and Chaos Ogres. I would really love to see Chaos Ogres. Now, here's the thing. One of the things I suspect they could do is I would love to get all of these missing things, but one of the major complaints for Total War Warhammer 3, which I sympathized with this complaint, it's not one that I personally shared, but I sympathized with it, is that a lot of people did not like the mortal units that were included in Total War Warhammer 3, because, something that I have talked about extensively, and I know some of y'all don't want to hear it, but I'm right, because I've literally gotten sound bites from CA on it, which is that the factions in Total War Warhammer 3 that we have for Chaos are not true mono god. They are demons of chaos that have Warrior of Chaos units to kind of supplement their army a little bit. Fill in some gaps that if they were just pure demon, they wouldn't be able to necessarily do very well. So when we're looking at these models, I think that's why they didn't necessarily receive the level of design that a lot of people were hoping. A lot of people looked at like the Chaos Knights of Tzeentch and the Doom Knights, and they are like, they're not unique enough. They don't stand out enough. And all of the Forsaken and all of the Chaos Spawn, a lot of those units caught a lot of criticism because they were fairly simple designs. They were basically just the old versions with small tweaks to like their color palettes and stuff like that. So this could be an opportunity for Creative Assembly to address those criticisms and really allow the Chaos Warrior factions that are themed after a specific god to really look the part, where, maybe they could finally upgrade all of the Chaos Knights of the various factions to look like we would expect, and the Forsaken and the Chaos Spawn, make them really unique. I do worry that would cut into the development time and budget of getting more legitimately new stuff. So, in the sense of, if they go in and they're like, oh, okay, a lot of people complained about the Chaos Knights at Tzeentch and the Doom Knights, so let's make it where they're really, really Tzeentchy looking, right? Let's genuinely give them a new design. And they do that for all of the gods and all of the Chaos Warrior units that could have a mark, right? If they do that, that's a lot of assets. That's a lot of art. That's a lot of fixing and adding new stuff. And I don't think you can do that and do 3 monsters and make new types of ogres and do the Chaos War Shrine, which, you know, just to be clear, you could also mark all of those things. The vast majority of creatures and units in the Warriors of Chaos roster could receive Chaos marks, you know, where many of the big, like even some of the monsters could. Pretty much the only things that purely had to be undivided were things like the Slaughter Brute, the Mutilated Vortex Beast, the Dragon Ogres, the Hell Cannon, because obviously it's a Chaos Dwarf thing, and Chaos Trolls, because they were too stupid to commit themselves to a god. Chimera were undivided, but pretty much every single other thing, except for the units that are obviously pre-dedicated, so like Hellstriders are pure Slaanesh, and Skull Crushers are pure Khorne, and the new Doom Knights are pure Tzeentch. But everything else can take a mark. Chaos Ogres can take marks. All the Chariots can take marks. War Shrines can take marks. Chosen, Chaos Knights, Marauders, Chaos Chariots, Chaos... actually, Warhounds could not take marks, fun fact. Even though we actually have Chaos Warhounds of Khorne in Total War Warhammer 3. But, you know, the vast majority of the army can be marked. So that's something I'm actually really interested to ask you guys before I start talking about characters, is where would y'all rather see the priority? Would y'all rather have it where all of the units that can take Chaos marks actually are like unique, like they have a unique design, unique assets, and they really and truly look the part? Or would you rather them maybe say only go hard on the legitimately new units, like the Doom Knights, for instance, and then like the units that can only be marked for one god, that way they really appear unique, and then everything else is kind of just the typical palette swap kind of trick, you know, the where they kind of just add like just very small assets and do a little color shift? Or do you want them to go whole hog? Because I honestly think that is the decision that is going to be made, is do you go hard on making all of the units that can be dedicated to a different god have a unique appearance and design and maybe even mechanics or weapon types depending on their god they worship? Or do you focus most of your assets on making 3 really big, really unique new monsters that aren't like any of the other monsters we have currently in the game, and then, you know, get your Chaos War Shrine, and if we're lucky, hopefully our Chaos Ogres. So like, where would you rather focus it? Would you rather say get one monster maybe? Like, you know, if they did like the Chaos War Shrine and the Chaos War Shrine and the Ogres, I feel like are a safe bet. Like, I feel like those are locked in. But then when you have the Chimera, the Chaos, the Slaughter Brute, and the Mutilated Vortex Beast, those are really complicated creatures that have very unique designs and skeletons that do not share those designs with anything else in the game. Like the Mutilated Vortex Beast is covered in tentacles and has a giant chaos portal on its back, which is wildly unique. The Chimera is kind of like a dragon, except for it has 3 heads, so you can't really use anything that already exists for that, and it has like a completely unique tail, and it's like it's got this really bizarre mixed design where it's, you know, one head is a lion, one head's a cat, one head's a bird, and one head's a dragon. And then you have the Slaughter Brute, which is this gigantic spiky ass monster with swords sticking out of its back that has like, it has 6 limbs because it's got these really, really giant front arms, and then it's got these smaller T-Rex scratchy arms, and then its big hind legs. Like, these things are really unique and specific looking. So I don't think this is a case where you can kind of like, they're not like Chaos Dragons and the Norscan Frost Worms, where it's just, you know, it's basically the same thing, just with some... At this point, I was going to talk about my thoughts on the Legendary Lords, but you know what? This has been going on for like 30 minutes, so why don't we go ahead and wrap this video up? I will be back tomorrow morning to talk about who I think the actual Legendary Lords are going to be. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought about that last little thing I brought up, as far as would you rather have very unique feeling mono god warrior factions, or would you rather get the entirety of the roster just finished and out of the way. Let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning around the same time to talk about who I think the legendary lords will be, especially because we have to talk a lot about Slaanesh because there are some serious options there, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.